Hi friends, my name is Megan and welcome to episode 78 of a Naughty Mess Knitting Podcast. Today we have a normal podcast episode. I have one small finished object. I'm wearing an old finished object, but I've only worn this on the podcast once and I love this make, so we'll talk about it a little bit and how it's wearing. And what else? I have a spinning update. I've got WIP updates. I've got a new cast on. Oh, and I want to talk about the fiber tracker today. So let's get to it. If you're new here, hi, my name is Megan. I am a knitter mostly, though I do crochet and I spin yarn and sometimes I cross stitch. On Sundays, I cross stitch. And I live in just north of Seattle with my husband Mike, our daughter Theo, my mom Cindy, and our dog Winter. And we've got, a lot of yarn happening behind me. I have had people comment in later episodes even like, oh, I didn't realize that was real. Like, this is real yarn. This is all my yarn physically here. I like to call this my yarn library. Someone also brought up, I think I said this like way early on the podcast because I talked about the concept of a library rather than calling it a stash. And someone else commented with it being the yarn pantry. And I said that I really like that one because like, even if you use some, you're going to restock. So if you feel like you're light on those blue DKs, you might need to buy more. But no, I do have a lot of yarn here. And I've got a lot of project plans for this year and maybe more. I have 2 more WIPs than I want to have right now. And let's talk about why. But first, let's talk about what I'm wearing. So today I am wearing the Belmullet Pullover, which is a pattern by Andrea Gowan Designs. I did test knit this for her in the fall. So I think I finished this like late September because I know I took pictures of this on our knit weekend, which was in early October. So, sometime around then. It is a drop shoulder cable and seed stitch pullover. It's very like reminiscent of like a Sari Nordland. Like this is, having the honeycomb in the middle and some cables. I think these are really fun. These are, I don't know what they're called, like some sort of traveling cable, right? So the legs don't just cross over. You've got like a traditional twist, a honeycomb, and then there is just a lot of seed stitch here. I did knit this with Malabrigo worsted, which is a single ply yarn. It is 100% merino. It is a non-superwash, but it is a single ply that I had in my pantry from D-Stash from like 2019, a long time ago. So I'm glad I used it. And it does have a double folded collar. It is relaxed and oversized. One thing I really like about this fit is even though it's got a really nice relaxed body on me, it has, the drop is, in my size at least, is like just a seed stitch. So where the cables sit, I think it still looks like really flattering and, doesn't make me look too like, it's not too baggy looking. So I did knit a size 5, which is supposed to be 43¼ inches. Recommended ease is 6 to 8 inches. That's 7 for me. And I used 5mm needles for the body. Though the recommended was 4.5, but she did more of an Aran weight, and this is kind of technically an Aran weight. It's like 210 yards for 100 grams. I measured the actual body circumference at 54, so like just over that, with, taking into account some of the fold when measuring it flat. And then you can see all the rest of my measurements on Ravelry, and I have some pictures on there. I really love this yarn. It is holding up okay. I have probably worn this 5 or 6 times for like the full day or out doing something. I wore this when we went to the zoo for Wild Lanterns, which is like an at night zoo light type thing here in Seattle, and this was like plenty warm for me to do that, and I wasn't wearing a jacket or anything. So it's been out in the world. It is pilling, though I don't think it's not as much as I would have thought with this yarn. Like, it still looks pretty good. There's a little bit of fuzzies, and just the way that this yarn bloomed was with a little bit more fuzz. But the side itself, like the side where I would imagine I'd have more pilling, also doesn't really have much. There's a little like on, I feel like this yarn picks up other fuzzies sometimes. So like here is a weird like tan, like here's a tan fuzzy that just was on my shirt, right? But it's like just from brushing up on, in the world, it maybe captures those because it does have a little bit of a halo. Again, I really like wearing this one. I grab it for my desk on occasion, and yeah, it's very cozy and comfy, and warm. It is very warm. So overall, I think like knitting texture with this yarn, it shows it really nicely, and it's holding up okay. It's definitely not going to be a hard wearing shirt, but I think I'll be able to wear it, you know, 7 to 8 times every wintry season without any real worries about how it's going to hold up, at least for a few years. And I have already put a picture up earlier of me like wearing it, and that's what it looks like on me. I'm not going to stand up and do the whole thing because you've seen it before. Yeah, overall, still really loving both wearing it and the yarn. I'm glad that the yarn is not like already falling apart. Okay, I have one finished object of the week, and it is small, and it is a new cast on, but not the other new cast on I was going to talk about. This one is a tiny baby beanie. It's not baby, it's a child size. So this is the Northern Attitude Beanie by Claire Jackson. It is a new, pretty simple beanie pattern. It is a top down though, and I don't know when is the last time I made a top down beanie, like maybe only once ever otherwise. So there are 3 weights for this beanie. It's a DK worsted or a bulky, and there's sizes from like newborn to adult, extra large or large or whatever. I don't know what she's named all the sizes, but so it's a big range. And again, it is a simple beanie. So it's got, and I have a pom-pom on, so it's gonna be a little bit harder for me to talk about this, but you start with like a pinhole cast on, or like a magic loop cast on essentially. And it's actually fun. I can't remember doing it because if I did do a top-down beanie, it was many years ago. You do it very similar to like crochet. You're knitting in a way that the tail lets you pull tight, and it will, you know, make those stitches into a tight circle once you've got several rows. So, and then the increases happen on either side of, you know, a knit stitch where a marker is, right? So you've got like a cute little increase. This is, it's just a single fold brim, and then you do a sewn bind off. Pretty simple, but it's really cute. And I wanted to make her one. Originally, one of my ideas was to make her with 2 pom-poms, but actually seeing it on her head once I finished it without a pom-pom, the way that the hat puckers, like, I don't think this is the right hat for her to have the 2 pom-poms. I want like sort of a totally flat on her head look to put the 2 pom-poms on. So I still might do that with like a free pattern. I have also a ton of patterns for hats, especially because I used to test a lot of hats previously in my knitting life. And so I have tons of hat patterns. So I'll grab something else I have and do that for her. And I still may do that soon because this idea of the 2 fuzzy pom-poms in my head is really cute. She does like this one. This yarn is something that was gifted to me from one of my old coworkers many, many moons ago. Again, pre-2019, in 2019, like before that maybe. The brand is called Tessin. I think it's a German brand. It's Superwash Shearwool, which I'm not sure what kind of wool Shearwool is, but let's call that some sort of sheep. 35% polyacrylic and 22% cotton. I think Belmullet is cotton. And it's 100 grams for 100 meters, which is like 110 yards, I think. So something like that. So it's a bulky weight. It's got, and you know, some of the acrylic and cotton are probably in like the neps. And then it's like a pink wool. It's fun and easy to work with. I've got like a ton of skeins of this. I've made hats for my other nieces and nephews, etc. I do really love this one. I think it's so cute. We are going down to visit a friend who has a little baby. I'm going to show you something else I cast on for her, but maybe I'll make her a hat too because it's real cute. And then they can have matching hats. And I feel like I just want Theo to have matching hats with all her friends. I'm on my way to make it happen. I have done this with several of her little baby friends. So yeah, and there is a little bit of like double knitting to make this brim sit flat. There are some tips and tricks in this to make like a nice fitting, slightly special, simple stockinette hat. So this is a hard one for me to be like, is it worth it to buy? There's a ton of free stockinette hat patterns out there. So I'm not going to tell you that this is 75 times better because it's a stockinette hat pattern. it was fun for me to do a top-down cast on for it. I like that there's so many sizes. I think the fit and construction are good. Make that decision for yourself. I just would say, I guess there's not that much like super unique about it. It's a hat. I like it though, very much so. And I might use it for me. I actually think this is one I would use for my husband because he has a large head. So having something top down is actually easier for me to get it to right where I'm gonna cast on or do the rows to set up ribbing. I could actually try it on him and see if there's enough room. And he also likes this style that has like a tiny bit of a poof on it, but not like the flat brim thing that I've made a couple of, and or the very just close fitting on your head. So this might be a Mike winner also. We'll see. And again, I made a size child, even though she is a toddler. She has a large head. We'll just go with that. I went by measurements, and I would suggest you always do that for hats. Just, you know, and if you have to guess for kids, do one size bigger because then they can wear it for longer. Okay, I feel like I've split my time sort of evenly amongst WIPs this week. Picking like a couple to do a night or one to focus on has been helpful. So this week I wanted, as I said last week, to really join the shoulders on my traveler. I wanted to be able to like put it on and see where we were. I did that on the call that I had with my knit friends where we were all knitting this together. There weren't that many of us on the call, but it was really nice. It was a really fun call. And I joined shoulders, and then I think I worked on something else because I didn't want to like go through the neck pickup, etc. But then I did that the next day or on Sunday. And so it looks so cute. It's really looking like a hood now. I'm about halfway through the second set of short rows. So I'll go through a little bit of construction. I'm not going to give away too much on this, but you pick up like where you cast off for the back, like you do a 3 needle bind off, which does actually look really cute on this because you have short rows on both sides of the hoodie and you maintain pattern. And then you've got your single 3 needle bind off that runs right along. This is it for me right here. It's a slightly skinnier bump, but it really fits in. Like it's really hard to tell that is there, but you can see it runs the whole length there. Okay, so you do a 3 needle bind off, great, and it's exposed. That's like how you get the bump, is you just hold your wrong sides together and do it. Like that's not hard. And then you pick up whatever things you're supposed to pick up, and this is a size 4 as a reminder, but this is the last of the sizes that uses the smaller hood, not the bigger hood. Granted, I have a large head, so I wouldn't hate the bigger hood, but like I don't want to knit that, and this will fit me just fine. And so you knit a certain amount, and then you start short rows, and I'll hold it for you like this way so you can kind of see them. So you knit short rows to create, you know, a sort of dome, which is like right maybe the very back of your head, and then you're creating short rows that are the opposite way. So you create short rows in the hump. To get a hump like this, when you create short rows, right, you just knit until this short row and then back, so you have a bunch of double stitches or whatever they're called that are waiting to be resolved. To do the way that you do the other part is you're just doing them the opposite way, so you pass the short row. So like it just creates 2 different kind of U's sitting together to create what's going to be the front of the hood here. So you can see that like I'm creating the front part of the hood, and then I'll go and pick up the outside. And like this is not for the faint of heart, because not only do you get through this big hood part, and I ended in the middle of short rows because I also ended my ball of yarn, and you know I like to start a podcast episode without yarn attached to it. And also it was late last night when I got there, and I've been working on these short rows for like 3 different days, so I just have been very clearly marking my pattern where I am, so I don't have to go back and like count a lot of things. Plus you have stitch markers that are really helpful to like help you figure out where you need to go. But after you do all of that, the next part I'm going to do is like you have to pick up all these stitches again, and you have to do a it's an enclosure for the I cords to have your hoodie be able to be cinched, even though like I doubt I'll ever do that, but it's going to be a very cute little feature. And plus it closes off all of these, you know, just your regular edge here, which this looks nice, but like it's definitely gonna look nicer with that in. So that'd be a really interesting venture. It's just like I was reading through instructions last night and I was like, oh, this hood is gonna take me like 3 more days. This is some serious business over here. Plus, I just need a break from it. I can't just go. Even though the short rows do keep it interesting as far as like, you kind of still have milestones to get to. But yeah, so here it is bound off, and it still does look little. That's right, you're correct. But I am going to block it, not super aggressively, and sitting where it sits on me now, because the armhole is a little bit large, like it is not super cropped. It's like maybe just marginally cropped. So getting at least 2 inches of body back when I block it, even just like from the minor relax without pulling it a lot. Cause like I could block it like this and get like probably 4 inches. I don't need that. I want it to have some of that accordion body, but like just be kind of evenly like this maybe. That'll easily get me, like you can see that. It'll easily get me 2 inches. So I like it. I'm glad. I like where the drop is sitting, and then I will do sleeves next. I have plenty of yarn. So this is 4 balls of yarn. Okay, full stop. And here's where I was last week. I did have to finish the back. So you remember I did finish the back, then I did all the rest. I will not use a whole ball of yarn per sleeve for sure. So I will use maybe half a ball still almost to get this hood finished. I may weigh it before I attach sleeves, like when I'm fully done the hood. And then I can kind of let you guys know how much this took without sleeves. But I don't think I will use a whole ball of yarn for sleeves. And because again, with blocking, I've been told this from people who've made it before, like cautious on your sleeves. They will grow more than your body because just like the weight of the smaller tube. So I will just, you know, be prepared for that. I don't have that many. I mean, these are all like January cast-ons minus the Traveler hoodie and minus my Birch, which we'll talk about later next week maybe. But my Soma Socks, I am not as far as I wanted to get. It is January 30th. I do want to finish these early February at the latest. I just don't want to get too far behind because that is going to feel more discouraging than it is fun. And this is supposed to be fun. This is for my year of stash socks. I went through and reordered my yarn for what I originally had planned, because I put a couple of sock sets in for me then, or sock skeins in for me, and because these are going to be mostly family knits, but so I put a couple in for me, and I clumped together some of the kid ones, and I put all of those in November and December because I am frankly going to need that win at the end of the year. But also those kids' feet, their feet are going to grow, but also I don't want to like assume too big of a size because so I will get a better size for them then. So this is going to be February, which is called Rockefeller. This was my December color because it's called Rockefeller. So I think it is supposed to be like the lights at Rockefeller Center, but that's okay. It's a pinky whatever color. Sylvan picked this one as February when we were originally deciding what months. So this one I'll do at her behest. It's a really fun, pretty color, and this one will be for my mother-in-law. And she shall be visiting soon, and I need to measure her feet still. So yeah. But here we are with the Soma Socks for my sister-in-law, Lauren. They are real cute. Can you focus here, camera? So I have the ribbing done. I have some of the gusset done. I'm like about halfway through the gusset. And so the foot of this will go pretty fast, even because I know how many little bloops I have to go. So I don't anticipate I will go far into next week. And yeah, plus I need like a little travel sock to be with me for some stuff we're doing this weekend. So I think this is what I will focus on as my quick and easy thing. And then I just have to pick a pattern for my mother-in-law. But again, I need to measure her foot. I will likely not have any mini go with that because again, that's like kind of busy and I don't think we need to introduce another color. Let's talk about my self-drafted corner to corner Baby Ninja Turtles blanket. That's a mouthful. Here we are. I did not finish. I am close to being finished-ish. I had actually got it on Monday, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I was zooming this weekend knowing that I was going to run out of that green. There was no way for me to not run out of the green. I actually ran out of the gray too, and I ran out of the gray before I ran out of the green. I had a little tiny bit left of the green attached to like one place on here, and so I went to Joann's and I which surprisingly they're still open. I don't know what's going on there, people. I don't keep up with the corporate gossip that much, but if you know the story, let me know. I just have heard the rumors that they may be no more, and that will be sad. End of an era. That's where I got started for a lot of crafty things, and believe it or not, that is the place where I first heard about Theo being in the world. I got a call from my lawyer, and I was picking up yarn for somebody else's baby blanket, and she was like, hey, so there's a little baby girl. That's the beginning of the story. Okay. So that will be a little bit heartbreaking for me over here. Okay, but yeah, so here's where we are. Self-drafted baby Ninja Turtles corner to corner blanket. I have almost, no, I have three. No, almost. These two are fully done over here on the right-hand side. I mean, that makes sense because of how corner to corner blankets go. But this one here on the bottom is done in most of the turtle, but he's got one of those, he's got like a staff. That's what he fights with. And it's the point goes up to like here somewhere. So I still have a couple rows. I think this blanket overall is like 100 and something rows from corner to corner, and they obviously get a lot shorter. We are past the corner, and we are far enough past the corner. You know, that's like a good amount past. I'm in the high 30s now for rows, and so there's only going to get smaller. And you know, the rows aren't taking me, like, obviously they're taking less time, but I'm also, now that I don't have this guy up here, these rows will go a lot faster because I'll just have a lot of gray. So it's sort of like in the beginning where you have some of this that you're building. Actually, not even the beginning. Like, this is maybe the easiest part of the whole blanket because I've got more gray here. And obviously I'll pick up the rest of the Ninja Turtle here somewhere, but like I've got a lot of gray to cover. And when you just have one color to zoom through, especially back and forth on a turn, this is great. This goes a lot faster. And a little less tangles happening. I am untangled right now. I just am connected to like only like maybe 6 or 7. And so, yeah, we are going. That's all I have to say about this. As a reminder, because I self-drafted this, I don't have like any real stats, but I am using a 5mm hook. I am using mostly just like acrylic scraps and things. Obviously, I did have to buy 2 balls of yarn. It cost me a total of like $5. So I'll have more of that gray and more of that green. That gray, though, was an entire skein. So just know if you plan to do something like this in the future, your background color takes up more than you would think. Yeah, and so I'm really excited to get this done. I don't know that I'll be done with it next week. I'm not going to like push myself because I'm not going to see this friend until after we're back from Portland, which is why I have another cast on to talk about. And for that baby blanket, I don't know the size, but it's going to be cribbish. And it is for a newborn baby, and that's all the information I have for you. I'll give you measurements when I'm done with it. I'll weigh it. We'll have yardage, etc. I don't think I weighed or measured the last one I made, so I really just have no idea other than looking at it with my eyeballs and saying it was baby sized. So now let's talk about my Brume. This is a pattern by Andrew Mowry. I feel like I've not been saying any designer names today. Sorry. Travelers by Andrew Mowry. I know it flashes up on the screen. Soma Socks are by Summer Lee. That's all we talked about. Okay. This is where we are. We're partway through a sleeve. We're partway through the body. Where was I last week? Oh, here. I have a little teacup on here. This is from Hello Lavender, and it's a very cute little tiny teacup that I love, or a coffee latte cup. Okay. This is, I was in the yoke still. Oh yeah, I was like way up in the yoke still. I love this so much. Okay, I'm really afraid of running out of yarn. So I'm also, as you know, zooming through this then because that's my tendency. I don't like put it in the corner hoping that something different will change with my yarn situation. I have to know, so I will zoom. Okay, I split for sleeves and ran it out of that ball of yarn. And I was like, oh, okay, we are gonna cut it close here. So I decided to, that was my second ball of yarn. Yes, that was my second, I have 5 total. So that was my second ball of yarn finishing the raglan increases, like just finishing, or I either had just finished and half a row or I was not quite finished in half a row, something like that. So I knit, this is like 5.5 inches. All of this with 1 ball of yarn. And I was like, oh no. Because that's not that much real estate I got through. And sleeves take up more than you think always. So I've decided to just go for sleeves. And we'll see. This may be cropped. That is okay. If I really have to steal from the neckline, I can do that. That's not going to kill me or anything. I can also see if somebody has this on Discord. If I just need one more ball, it can go in timeout and wait. I don't know. No matter how I slice this one, you guys, as I'm thinking about the math here, I really think I need another ball of yarn. So I'm not going to put this in timeout because I would rather know still, and like maybe miracles will happen. I don't know. I don't want to unknit anything. I will, if I need to, put this out on the D-Stash Discord. If anyone who's watching this has an extra ball of In Bloom from Treehouse Yarns on Truffula or on Magnolia Brush Merino, let me know. I'll buy it from you. But yeah. So here we are. I'm in the panic knit kind of scenario right now. I'm going to keep knitting it and see, but I think math-wise, I'm definitely going to need another ball of yarn, which was just, I don't know, maybe my fault. Like I have enough yardage per the pattern, and I'm knitting pretty much on gauge. So I'm not really sure what the issue is here. But there's very much an issue. That's okay. We'll figure it out. I have not actually played Yarn Chicken like and lost in a long time. I'm pretty good at math, but for whatever reason, this is where we are in life. Okay, so I have one new cast on to talk about. We obviously had the hat cast on this weekend. That was like a quick, I mean, that was one day. It took me one day to do that. And this is called, this is a new baby blanket cast on, and this is called These Days blanket, and this is by 5410 Studio, which is run by a woman named Mary Lee. And I will say, if you go through her projects or her patterns on Ravelry, she's got some free patterns, she's got some paid patterns, she has a lot of baby blankets and scarves, and a lot of times they're using the same motif, and quite frankly, I think you can do the math for that if you wanted to, but they're really lovely, kind of like, most of her patterns are like really lovely, like just simple repeatable textures, so like things you probably could figure out on your own, and I probably could have figured this out on my own, but like somebody else did that work for me and I'm gonna pay for it because I am lazy. If you are not a lazy person, then you know, feel free, design things, do whatever, but I just needed a quick win on this, and this is one of the ones that my friend Mimi sent me for her baby's blanket, and I bought this is, and by the way, I am gonna just preface this with, I understand that this is a bougie baby blanket. This was her request to have a bougie baby blanket. She is one of my dearest and oldest friends. Obviously, I was going to do that for her. And she also is a crafter. So she understands not only the cost of this and the time and whatever, but she actually understands the materials. So I'm going to give this to her knowing that she'll be able to take care of it. And other friends and people who I gift these to, family members, etc., do not get bougie baby blankets. So I'm just putting that out there. Throw shade somewhere else, okay? But this is that lovely Labian Amy DK, Merino DK, I think that's what the base is called, in Gyupta from her shop that I bought from France. Okay, this is very fancy French yarn. Okay, really, because like Amy sure had some Gyupta in her, like in her online store, which I would have loved to give her my money, but she didn't have any of this weight, and it was more about like the weight and yarn combo. So this lovely sherbety color, it's just like really nice. It has some fun speckles in it. This is just what she wanted. She did pick out this color too, by the way. So this is all by request, and this has like just a really fun stitch repeat. The repeat's only over like 5 stitches, and it's like a 6-row repeat, so it's very like easy. It feels easy to accomplish, and also is, I mean, I have it like memorized because it's super easy. So you know, now that pattern means nothing to me, and I just knit until I run out of yarn. That's how it's gonna work. And then the end is, both of the ends are just like 6 or 7 rows of garter or something like that. So easy peasy. But it is kind of like a really fun meditative knit, and I know I said I wanted to put it on the needles so that I could have something that was just like relaxing, especially because I'm like stress knitting that Brume. Y'all, it's just a hobby. Okay, but I do really like, I like it like from way back here. It has like a kind of like a waffly texture almost. And you can see that in the texture, there's like a garter half triangle. I keep holding it up for you. Yeah, I don't know that you can see that much. It's fine. So it's really nice and lovely, and it's looking great in this pattern. And I did some math on if I wanted to finish this by the time we went to Portland, which will be mid-February, will I be able to finish this in time without sacrificing to not work on anything else? I did not put myself way ahead. I just cast on and I did the number of rows that will get me there for the last 2 nights. And so like get me to blocked before the podcast episode I'll film that week. So I will, I mean, you don't know, we don't know, who knows? You know, I've got like a good 3 inches right now, and I need probably 30 something. This is like this is the small size. There is a crib size, which is smaller, not by a lot. And this is a super easy one. You would just add 5 and you would be able to expand this as big as you want, which is really nice. But yeah, it's like pretty simple and meditative, and I am enjoying it. There is a front and a back, but really the triangles just go the opposite way, right? So that doesn't matter. Okay, but yes, so I am enjoying it. I think the colors are really fun. I don't really mind that we're getting some like bits of color pooling. I think that's going to happen. This is not going to be like a super even-y thing, and that's okay. I just don't want to get any like gigantically large areas of like particularly the green. I don't know that I will do much to prevent that, but if I felt like one was getting too big, I might throw in a second ball of yarn and switch them on the sides, though I think the edge is like looking pretty nice because it's just a garter switch. You know, it's just a garter edge. So I don't think I'll do anything to prevent it. Honestly, we'll see how it goes. Right now it's been working out that like the colors are sort of shifting where they are in the row every like repeat or so. Okay, so let's talk about a spin update. I did start spinning a new, just like a palette cleanser. It's a single 4-ounce braid that I had. And this is my first, I think, my first superwash merino spin. I'll show you a picture here of the braid. This is just like what I took before I started spinning. It's not opened or anything. Here's what it looks like opened. This is half, and I'll tell you how I split this in a second. But this is just half of the fiber braid. And you can see, like, maybe when I opened it, I felt like there was more pink than I could see in that picture. There is quite a lot of tealy color and some like mucky green here, and like a little bit of like browny chartreuse, brown to chartreuse down here, and like some even like navy. Okay, I don't know what colors. All the colors. It's like a really murky rainbow. It's very pretty, and I am trying to do a 2-ply sock ish. If it's a sport weight more than a sock weight, that's okay with me too. I just wanted to spin it thinner than I have been spinning because I've been doing a lot of DK spins, and those DK spins are getting a little bit thick also. So I just wanted to get myself back to slowing down a little bit and doing a thinner spin. So what I decided to do is I will spin this half all the way, just one direction, and then I split the other side. You know, I split this down the middle, and I weighed them, and they weren't quite equal, but also I don't really care. That's okay. This is the second part, and the second part then I split into 3 because that's just how the fiber wanted to be split. Because this is so murky, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference in like how rapid the color changes are. Just it's dark overall, so I think it'll be fine. So this is 2/3 of that 3, and then I have one more little bump to do, and then I'll do another bobbin with that big one on it, and that will probably take me like through most of next week because it's not that quick of a spin. Because I'm trying to do it thinner, and you can kind of see here it's looking pretty even and nice. Definitely thinner than I have been spinning, not lace thin or anything. But it is, so it's slower going that way, but it is also super slippery, like really, really slippery. I'm glad I didn't try to do this any earlier in my my spin journey, that would have probably been pretty discouraging. But yeah, it's really slippery, which I knew going into it. I mean, you can just feel it, and you can even see it. Like if I bring this closer, like the way that these fibers are, they just like are looking like they want to fall apart, like here. They're hanging on by a thread. And maybe this has nylon in it too. I can't remember. Okay, so sorry, that also fiber is by Wound Up Fiber Arts. It was one that was gifted to me, I'm pretty sure, from Giselle. Let me know if that's correct. Giselle, I'm not sure. But I have had it in my stash for a little while, and I also looked back at the picture. It's 90% superwash merino. It is 10% nylon. It is like their super sock base. I can't tell that there's nylon in this. Like there's nothing that feels very nylon-y to it, right? So, though I did spin something with nylon in it before, and I felt like it was easier to spin than silk. Silk is stickier than nylon is, and so yeah, I didn't notice it. It's been pretty smooth sailing, but it'll be a slower spin, which is okay. I need to figure out what I want to do next anyway. I have a couple of things that like really I could get into a mini garment moment here. These are 2 8-ounce braids each that are merino tensile, both of them, and they would go well not as a combo spin, like spinning one and then the other, but knitting together. And then I also have like a couple, like these are buddy skeins here, and these are superwash merino. This gray is like a gray blue rainbow pops, and I've got like a pound of that almost, so I could knit that, or I could spin that up with something. I've got my LB that I've kind of need to go back to my plans and see what I want to do with that one. I might actually, one of the things I might do next, just like as keep trying new things, is this is the cotton I got from Flock this year, and it's 100% Pima cotton, and it's like easy to spin. It's called easy to spin cotton, and I might do that. I'll check with my friend Bridget, because I think she said she had some from the year before at Flock and she still hadn't spun hers, and so maybe we'll buddy spin that. But yeah, as I will show you my tracker in a little bit, I want to go through what I have, and it's not as dire as I thought it was, especially if you compare it to my yarn. Maybe I have a skewed perspective because I have so much dang yarn, but it's not really as bad as I thought it was going to be once I put the numbers in the chart. Okay, let's go through acquisitions. Okay, acquisitions. I acquired something several weeks ago, and I totally forgot to talk about it because I just did. I actually did a trade, so I did not buy this, but I got rid of some of my stash, and it's about the same yardage we traded. I got rid of, actually, I had 8 skeins, I think, of this yarn in the color Dusty, which you've seen because it was in my flat lay. It's a whole ton of pink yarn from Malabrigo. It's a dusty rose color, and it was just like not something I will probably wear, and like too much for something for the baby, and also I don't think I'd give her a single ply yarn at this point. Anyway, I could obviously keep these things in stash for when she's older, and sometimes I have this thought and then I think that's ridiculous. Who knows what she's gonna like when she's older? And also I still want to give her easy to care for things until she's like 30. So we've got a long time of stash turnover before this kid is gonna get super delicate yarns or whatever. So I saw this yarn and the person was up for a trade, and I was like, ooh, let me see what I have. So she decided that was the yarn for her, and so we, you know, again, even-ish yardage trade. And this is my first Noro yarns. I don't have any. I know they're really popular at like a lot of LYSs, and I just never purchased any, not like for a particular reason I didn't do it, I just never did. They're a little expensive typically, and I think when I was like going to LYSs for my yarn, I was still looking for cheaper alternatives. Then I started buying from dyers. That went out the window, but I really stopped going to my LYS as often for yarns. I definitely still go to get like Cascade stuff and things like that, but yeah, anyway, this is called Akari. It is 26% silk, 21% cotton, 15% viscose, 14% mohair, 12% wool, 12% polyamide. That's a lot of things in a yarn, and it's a single ply. So really we did a quite even trade. Single ply for a single ply. but a little bit more my colors. Now this is a rather warm neutral. There is like threading of like a coppery brown color. You can kind of see along there. There you go. Yeah, you can see that there's like a coppery brown, and the where it goes to the light gray is almost a tanner gray. That is okay. I don't mind some mixed, you know, neutrals. And I think there's enough of this dark gray that it'll be okay. I don't know exactly what I'm going to make with this yet, but I do have the step-by-step sweater from Florence as like this. She used similar Noro yarn for hers, and it's a really simple thing. This yardage wise, also is 480 meters for 200 grams. So it's like 525-ish yards, which divided by 2 gives us like 262 and a half yards. But you know, 260 is like, it's a DK weight yarn. But if you look to see how this is used generally, and I like did this when I wanted to trade for this, I went on to Ravelry and looked at some projects made with this, etc. And a lot of people use this actually more of like a worsted weight yarn, because I think the bloom of the strands. I am obviously going to do my own thing for swatching, etc. But the person that I bought this from actually did include a swatch that includes mohair. I think it's mohair, not Surrey. But she did this like really cute little swatch, and she made it warmer with like the mohair itself is like a very light tan color. And I can see that on this cord here. So it definitely pulls this to be a little bit warmer. I could do this with gray and just pull that a little bit cooler, and that maybe would be something I would do. I think I'll probably swatch first with it without anything else, because that's fine for me. But obviously we know single plies last longer when they are accompanied by something that has like the silk cord, and the fluff helps to keep the single ply fluff from disintegrating to the environment around it. So yeah, that maybe is something I would do. And if I did the fluff, I would definitely still be able to make gauge, I think, for the step-by-step sweater. I could also do, like, I have the staple sweater from Jeanette Goudreau, who is New Wave Knitting. So I could do, you know, any yarn weight there. There's also, like, I just don't know, because this does a really gradual color change. I don't know that I want to do something with much texture or pattern. Maybe like a simple all over texture, but probably not a lot of pattern. And so I'll just see. The answer is I don't know yet. But I thought it would be a nice way to trade out yarn I'm not inspired by something that could give me some inspiration. So I have 4 balls of the 200 grams. Like we really traded like weight and yardage. Okay, so the other thing I got this week, and yes, I am trying not to add too much to my stash this year. Whatever, it's fine. Witchfire Fibers was having a sale of some of her in-stock stuff, and also I have money from her for a sample that I made last year, and also I love this, so I decided I wanted something extra from the Mask Made Me Cry collection, and this is I've Been Looking for You. And I got it in 2 bases. And I got this for a project. So this is Classic Fingering, which is 100% superwash merino, 3-ply to 90 yards. This is a light fingering. And then this one is the Summer Surrey, which is 65% Surrey alpaca, 35% silk, 437 yards for 100 grams. So it's a lighter Surrey, and it is a less Surrey content too. So I thought that would be a fun one. And I got two skeins of this. Oh, and these are, so I said, this is both the I've Been Looking for You colorway, which is from, this is ACOTAR inspired. These are not really me colors. Yes, it's not for a top. And I don't even know that it'll be for me, but I knew I wanted to make it in this pattern. So, you know, I'm just going to do it. I got the second skein of this. So I have 2 skeins of just the fingering, 1 of the Surrey, and I'm going to make a Bennett Sister shawl. So when I did the culmination blanket, there was a knit along, right? And during that knit along, there were some Zoom calls, and on one of the Zoom calls, Lindsay was giving away like some money to her Ravelry store, and I won for that day, which was really nice. And so I had some patterns to buy from her. And this is a shawl that I know a lot of people have made, and I've always thought it was really cute. And I'm not a super shawl person, so I just haven't gone out of my way to buy it. But I had free money from her, so that's one of the things I got from her store. And it is really cute. And also when Ariel made one this past year, is when I was like, oh, and I felt it. And I was like, okay, this is really cute. Maybe I do want it. And I think it would be a really nice gift knit. So I don't know who I would gift it to at this moment. One of the moms probably in my life. There are many. My mom, who I love very much. I have a mother-in-law. My best friend's mom is like a pseudo mom to me. There's a lot of moms in the world. And I feel like that would be a nice thing. And there's enough difference in the color that I think you will get that look of the fuzzy one side and the non-fuzzy other side. So this is the intention for that. Okay, and at the same time, because I was talking to Jess about other things, is that I offered to do a sample for her. So this will be my first sample of the year. I don't think I'll pick up a ton of samples this year. And I really only want to pick up samples this year is my goal. Keep telling myself this. For places that I really want to spend the money. And Jess is one of those shops. I think she has several drops a year that I absolutely love everything. So I really have to like hone in what I want to buy, but having some money coming to me from the shop is really nice. Makes me, happy, makes me very happy. So and that's what this little hobby is all about. So this is called Coven Sister. This is a color that was released. This was like in her witchy vibes. I don't know what the collection was called, but it was like a lot of, like witchy vibe colors. There were a lot of really good colors. I contemplated one other one for this that she had enough of in her instash, but what I really have to say is like, I love this quote, so I feel connected to the color. And that's dumb because it's not even a color I love that much for, not for me, but I knew that I didn't want the shawl anyway, so I knew I wanted to just work with something that I would really love. Okay, that's the end of that. But this one is on her Natural Decay. This is a new base for her. So this is 100% organic, non-superwash merino. It is so soft. Let's compare it to another one we know and love and have heard about much. And that is the Earthy Decay, which is 100% non-superwash merino also. Similar-ish. So this is 246 yards for 100 grams. This is from Explorer Knits. This is 231 yards. So it's a more traditional DK weight. But what I have to say is, like, if you look at those, this definitely looks like it's a little looser than this one. That could just be the way that the skein is twisted, but like the ply itself, this looks like a bit tighter and tidier than this does. What that makes me think of is that I've heard about this base, and I have not used it yet, though I have 2 sweater quantities of it. This will be for my Uptown pullover. I have heard this pills a little bit like crazy. Okay. So I've not made anything, so I cannot verify from my own experience, but from people in my knit group and other people that I have talked to over Discord and other, like Instagram and stuff, have said this does pill quite a lot. So just be warned, right? It's because it's so soft and it's got a lot of bloom to it. Okay. So that's a thing to note. This, because it's got a higher twist, I think will be a little bit hardier because you don't have as much air in there or space for the little fibers to come out and get frictioned and pill, right? That's what pilling is. So I have hope for this one to be actually like maybe slightly better than this one. I don't know. I mean, it's like they're equally soft though. Like they're definitely, like, nothing about this is less soft than that one. I think it'll be nice to work with. Anyway, so the sample I am making is the checker plate sweater from Lily Kate Makes, or Lily Kate France. That's a new pattern. It came out in January, I'm pretty sure. And so I grabbed it, and I am going to start that sample relatively soon. I don't think this needs to be done until flock, so I've got lots of time. And I have 2 other cast on things I want to talk about because those are going to be coming very soon. I don't have any more yarn. So I got a sweater quantity of this, and it's not for me, and it's going right out of my stash. Though what I will say is this year, I am going to track the stash, I did not do this last year. So when a sample yarn would come into the stash, into my house, and then I would start the sample, and then most of the time, all of that yarn would go back out, like including scraps. I just never put it into my yarn library. I would put it into the project tracker for how much yardage I used, but it was never in my stash technically. But this year, what I want to do is I want to track it in as $0, mark it as sample yarn, you know, like have it tracked appropriately so I can see how much sample yarn came in, you know, hoping that all of it goes right back out. But that I can also put, like I can see from there that it was all used, you know, that it all went in and all went out. It's just a different way for me to track. And then I can also have that yarn stats, like the type of yarn, the color, etc., in my tracker for yarn used that year. It's just a different thing I want to do this year. And so I'm going to do that. So this is very soft. It's very lovely. I need to weigh it and put in the tracker, but I will do that. And yeah, so I have a sweater quantity and I will be making the sweater starting, I mean, maybe like end of February is when I'll cast that on. Maybe before, and just make that like a slower, longer term project. I definitely want to get it to Jess before, you know, before any time in the summer so that she has it for photos and for hyping what she's going to bring to Flock and all of that. Okay. Now, let's go through a couple of upcoming plans because I said I would be sharing those with you as they come up and are fresh in my mind. I currently have 5 things on my needles plus a languishing WIP, which is the birch, which again, I will talk about next week. We're not going to address it this week. So 5 things. I do hope this week, but before next podcast episode, to finish the socks and to probably not finish a sweater. Honestly, I'm not going to have a sweater done in a bit. But to make large strides on all of the other 4 without having the goal to actually finish one of them, because I don't think I'm at that place. Maybe the other baby blanket, but really this new pink baby blanket is going to take a little bit of precedence because of time. But I'm still thinking of future cast-ons because I do want to cast on more projects this year. One of those is that I was thinking about what is upcoming in my life, and one of those things is Rose City Yarn Crawl. Rose City Yarn Crawl is the second week of March, so 6 weeks from now ish, and I would like to have, if not finished, on the way, at least one thing one sweater quantity or t-shirt quantity that I bought from Rose City last year started. Not just started and put down, started and actually worked on. So I think the thing that's going to trump for me is going to be this, which is the Uptown Pullover. Because I bought this at the EKF pop-up, and also she just did her Iceland launch, which I did not buy any yarn from because I have this and one other sweater quantity from that, and I just, you know, felt like I should probably use these before jumping on more of those blues, though I do love those blues so much. I hope they'll just keep coming back because they're such solid colors. Okay. So that's one plan. So anyone who wants to join me in the Uptown cast on, I'll probably cast that on this weekend, maybe like Sunday. I'll put something maybe in the Discord and say like, maybe we'll do a super casual cast on together, or just share some pictures if anyone else wants to do that. I heard there was like 1 or 2 other people who thought that that was a fun project on my Make 9. And that is on my Make 9, so that's one thing. The other thing I want to cast on, and I don't know if I'll do it this weekend or if I'll wait a little bit, and this is not something I got at Rose City, but something that I don't want to put off forever, is one that was missing from my Make 9 this year, but was on mine from last year. And again, it's not maybe the most top priority for me, but I was talking to Emily about this. It was just the 2 of us for Knit Night this week, and we were talking about t-shirts. So I'm not dead set on this. I might look at other t-shirts and maybe trump that, which we'll talk about how it's going for my freeform. But this one is one that I'm like, okay, I really do want my Salty Air tee from Samantha Guerin. It was on my Make 9 last year, and my plan is by April, because that's when we'll have a couple of warm days, to have 2 new t-shirts in the My World teaser tanks, so that I can truly have something that feels fresh and new to wear in the springtime. So that is on the list. There are several other teas or tanks that it could be. I think it sort of depends on how I'm feeling when I cast on. If I want something really simple and quick, I might actually do something else I think I got at Rose City last year, which is right here. right here. And this is in my Neon Era in Rocky's DK from Exploreness and Fibers. Yeah, I must have got this at Rose City last year. And it's to make another ripple crop top worsted, but with DK weight. So it's a little bit drapier. And I get more yardage, and so I can make it a little bit longer. And I'm going to do some short rows on the sleeves and some other things. So that could be the other one. And also that one went really fast when I made the first one. I will make some odds on the neckline. And so that's for me. So those are things that are likely upcoming. I am going to make one of my gift make 9s. I'm going to cast on like now. And that is actually going to be the Ribblesdale vest. And so I think Ursula, who is on my Discord and a lovely other Pacific Northwest friend, said she would make this with me. So I think this one, if anyone else would like to jump on, definitely will be something I cast on in the next week, 7 days. So let me know if you're in for that one. It is the pattern by Lily Kate Makes. I'll flash it here. It's like a fitted brioche vest with buttons. I am making this for my best friend. I want to ship it off to her. And it is fitted and beautiful, and it is actually made out of this yarn. So how fun is that? So yeah, it'll be the rest of my of Malabrigo worsted. Okay, this week I read 5 books, 3 of which were the Hannah Grace Maple Hill series. So let's go through those. I read Icebreaker, which is the first one. I'm sure you've seen this. This was like, I think it was really big on Book Talk, etc. I'm not really sure, but it just made it onto my TBR at some point, and then I put it into the library when I was going through like, let me put holds on a couple of these TBR things so I can actually get them from the library. And this one is about a very, very typical, you might think, a hockey player and a figure skater. And even so far as the hockey player has to help the figure skater with her figure skating. He does not become a figure skater, thank goodness, because that would have been a little too much for me. But it's really cute. They are at school. These are smutty books, definitely. They are several open door scene type books. But there's like a nice friendship build. The relationship build is pretty good. And this one is about Anastasia or Stasi and Nate. And yeah, they were very fun. Maple Hill's like a fictional UC college, University of California, and they're like near LA. So the second one is called Wildfire, and that is about another teammate from the UCMH hockey team named Russ. Russ is kind of a mystery character you don't hear very much from, which is also kind of interesting because a lot of times I feel like authors do these based on like the best friend group. So it's like this person and then the next most obvious person, and then there's definitely more obvious characters I think for them to grab as the next one. But she didn't do that. She picked the mystery character. I actually really like this. So Russ is a camp counselor, sort of near-ish, just somewhere, they don't say where, somewhere in California. And Aurora is a character that has like classic daddy issues. And also goes to school with Russ and also is a camp counselor. There's a no fraternization policy, and as you can imagine, that doesn't seem to matter very much. And similarly smutty, though I will say that that one is like sort of really sweet in like a lot of the interactions and things. So anyway, I really like that one. Okay, the next one is called Daydream. And this is one that is, I think this one came out just last year. And this one is about Hallie and Henry. Henry is like the youngest of the friend group, or like the youngest of the first age friend group that you read about in the first book. Anyway, he becomes newly captain of the hockey team. He is also neurodivergent, right? And she purposefully, she talks about this in the beginning, she doesn't give Henry a diagnosis, and she doesn't really talk about the things, but she does talk about the traits and characteristics that Henry has through all of the books. And then you have Hallie, and Hallie is like a classic oldest child, takes care of too much people pleaser, and it is sort of both of them finding themselves and solace in a person who doesn't expect them to be anything other than what they are, like just naturally in their natural state. So like really be themselves with their person, which is like the most lovely thing about finding your person just in general in relationships. I also thought this one was sweet, definitely still spicy, though like maybe later, maybe less spicy, but yeah, good. Okay. I also finished Onyx Storm, which I guess I finished before the rest of that series, but I want to talk about that series altogether. Okay, so Onyx Storm is by Rebecca Yarros. It is the third of the Empyrean series, fourth wing, whatever. This, you can go online and get a lot of people's opinions about this. Maybe that's all I tell you. It's about dragons. It's about dragon school. And a war of good versus evil. Okay, but what I will say is I don't think I like this one as much as the first one. I don't think I liked any of them as much as the first one. The second one was a little bit angsty. This one is like maybe better placed angst, but still angsty. And also, I felt like a little bit of rambling in the journey. And I think what she was really trying to do was like, at least part of it was like, give you a cast of characters and friends that you love a lot, which she kind of has done, but give them a little more airtime in this one. And I still think I don't think she did that as well as like other authors do. Like, I think Sarah J. Maas is way better at this, like building up the side characters so that you care about them just as much, if not more, than the main characters, honestly. And I don't think she's achieved that in this, for me personally. Okay. Though, yeah, I definitely like some of them more than I like Violet, so that's not hard to do. Anyway, I don't know. I'm not like really salty about it. It was a fine book. It was entertaining. I'm gonna read the rest of the series because there's like a lot of WTF moments and I want to know what she thinks is gonna be accomplished through this whole story, but you know, whatever. It's just not one that I would scream to the hilltops is the best romantasy series you should read. And I know a lot of people might have that opinion. I read a lot, and so I just don't have that opinion also. That's okay. Next on my read this week, I finished actually the book that I was eyeball reading, and this was like pretty fast for me because I didn't that long ago finish the first one. This is the second of the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. It is called Wild Eyes, and this one is really fun actually. It's about like a pop star who is disgraced or like having a lot of bad media attention, go hide out in Rose Hill to try to record a new album that's solely hers, like with her own voice, at the new recording studio that was made in the first book, right? So you get the concept, you know, you get to actually see that come to fruition, which is nice. Not too much. They don't like dwell on those other characters a lot. They just pop in and out. And the property of the first one is supposed to have like bunkhouses and stuff for celebs to come and like really detox and do their whole recording thing. But this starlet shows up early and the bunkhouses are not ready. So she has to go to the bunkhouse that's talked about in the original one, which is actually on the brother's property. His name is West or Weston. And obviously they become embroiled and entangled, and I love it. I really liked the characters. These are very smutty also. I just really like, I think she gave like a non-obvious resolution for the situation, and it felt honest and true for those characters and not just like an easy band-aid or an easy fix. And I thought it was really fun. And yeah, and pretty great. And okay, the last one I read is called Under Lock and Key. This is the last of the available Lana Ferguson books. So I think there's only 4, and this is the 4th one that I'm reading. This one came out in 2024. She's only been publishing since 2023, so this is like all new stuff. This one I read The Fake Mate last, right? So that was one of her like paranormal romance ones. This one is called Under Lock and Key, and it is, as you might imagine, based on the cover especially, like based in Scotland, and it is about a girl who goes to meet her estranged family after her father passes, and to learn more about like what happened, because he didn't talk about it that much, in Scotland right near Loch Ness. And the Loch Ness Monster is heavily featured, and I just like, the premise to me is so silly but also like really fun. It was a fun way for her to have done this and how it happens and the whole lore behind the Loch Ness Monster. And I don't know much lore behind the Loch Ness Monster like all whatsoever, so I thought that this was like a fun take on that, knowing nothing, right? There were some very obvious pieces that I felt like I put together pre, you know, the ending, but I thought that the ending was pretty satisfying. What I like about her books so far from what I've read is like, yeah, sometimes there's a miscommunication, there's a breakup, there's a whatever, but it's never like I've lost my feelings for and I've changed all of my thoughts about a person. It's a lot more like situational, or in this case, it's like I need to get over this hurt, but I know that I still care about this person more than the hurt. And so I kind of like that. Like it just doesn't become this like overblown dramatic, like that's not the biggest part of the climax. There's usually some like outside force that needs to be fixed. And I like that because it's like giving them a good foundation and giving a good thing for them. So pretty fun. Okay, last thing to talk about a little bit is my library and spin tracker. So what I'll do is I'll actually replace my face and I'll click through and record that later, like the actual like kind of walking through the chart. But this will at least, I'll talk through a little bit about what I've saved in here. So as you can see from my fiber and library and spin tracker, that's what I've called the chart. This is in monday.com. And you can see I don't have like a ton of stuff in here right now. I have all of my stash that I currently have that is not spun up. I have not gone in to go back through all of the things that are pre-finished skeins. I've got maybe 10 of them loaded, but not everything. And I am right now, and I haven't decided if I'm going to do this differently, I'm putting the full quantity. So I have 3 braids of this. I have that in as one item. They all got spun together. If I choose to split up how I spin something, I might just copy that, split it, but keep like the date acquired and all that kind of stuff. I've got in here a picture of the fiber braid, the dyer, the status, which is just have I started spinning it? Am I finished? Is it washed? Does it need to be washed and photographed? Etc. The color family, which is hard because I might change this a little bit. These are the same I have in my yarn, but there's a lot of multis in here. And what I've decided is for some of them that really are more predominantly, or I think of them more as like, oh, that's a pink skein or that's a red skein. That's what I've put them in as. The fiber composition, and you will see on the list, I've got a bunch that don't have percentages because I got them from a D-stash and a lot of them didn't come with like, they're not in like the real bags or anything like some of these. Like they didn't come with any kind of cards or whatever. It just has like superwash merino. And so that's what they're listed as. The fiber prep, the weight in ounces. And then I've got some numbers that are going to be blank for those top ones. And that's like the spin style, which is going to be like how I spun it. Short forward, long draw. Those are my 2 options right now because I don't really have many other spin styles. Some of them I do like a short backward, and I'm not really differentiating here. Lace, the weight of the yarn when it's done. So they'll be blank for all the non-finished yarns at the top, right? The singles direction, the ply direction, the number of plies, the final yardage I got, which I don't know that I'm going to go back through and put final yardage in till I actually do the yardage count. I might do an estimate and then put a note that this is just an estimate until I do a finished one, like a final one with the actual, like I have a counter. The weight of the skeins, because sometimes it's not 100% of what the ounces I have, and I'll put that in grams because that'll also go into my finished yarn tracker, or like into my actual yarn library tracker as well. Date acquired, cost if purchased, and where I got it from. So that's what's in there. Yeah, and you can see for some of my finished skeins, I have some of this, though I don't even have, like, I've got all of those basic things down. But so yeah, so that's my yarn tracker for now. There's still some more, like you'll see I have some blank things in there. I didn't go back and fill every single thing in, especially like my date acquired since I wasn't tracking that before. But I will be putting that in for more of this. But I will be doing that going forward also, so I have it and I know exactly what is what, right? And that will be helpful to me going forward, just as like I track, obviously spending because that's part of this, but also how much is coming in, how much am I actually putting out, and it'll be easier for me to track my 4 pounds of fiber for the year, right? So that is fun. And that's what I have to share. That's another way for you to think about tracking fiber and or other things. Obviously, not everybody wants to track all of those things. I get it. That's fine. This is just me and how my brain works and how my organization works. And I think what's nice about it and having pictures in there, I've found with yarn too, is when I am shopping for yarn, sometimes I think to myself like, oh, I don't have the perfect thing to go with this one or whatever. And I'm like, I want to just look at the braid again, and I don't have to search through all my photos. I know exactly where it is and I can find it. Yes. So that's what's up for that. I am progressing really nicely in my my big chart of all the makes and all the yarns I have. I am thinking about for some of those, because I do have thoughts on the fiber, if it's just fiber, that I may also include inside like a picture of the braid, because now I have all these pictures of the braids nicely taken. But yeah, I'm still adding to that in my freeform. And yeah. So as always, I'd love to know your thoughts on anything I talked about today. Do you like my fiber tracker? Is that just like, do you find that to be totally insane? That's okay. You can have that opinion. I'm probably not going to change my mind. Are you working on anything fun that you want to tell me about? I want to know always what makes you have. Is there anything you want to join in for my Make 9 of those plans I have for, you know, new or soon cast-ons, which will be, again, my Uptown pullover and the Ribblesdale vest, and then possibly a t-shirt. Is there a t-shirt you're really craving? Do you want to just do a t-shirt little make-along? A winter t-shirt make-along? You know, I thought on this, and I have not done one. I didn't have a t-shirt on the needles through any of November or December, but I really, really love starting the season with at least two fresh t-shirts, because that's exciting. Then you get to wear them for the whole summer. But I do think maybe one of the things that will trump it for a t-shirt for me, I don't know. I'm really going to go off of feels on this one, just how I'm feeling once I'm ready to cast it on. But I do maybe want to use one of my alternate bases, like my non-merino bases. Though, if I'm okay with a transitional piece, I could do one more merino t-shirt, because I knowing that I would wear it more in the spring. I don't know. We'll see, people. Let me know. What are your thoughts and feelings? What do you think I should cast on, or what do you want to cast on with me? Or should we just pick a color? I don't know. That might guide the process too. Though not, you know, those aren't not in my Make 9, and that's okay. I don't need to only knit from the Make 9 in the beginning of the year. So that's what's going on. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Tell me what you've been making. And yeah, I'm always have fun hanging out with you. I will say, I would like to make a quick PSA here. I know that this has been talked about a lot in the fiber community this past week. If you are not in the know and you don't maybe go through a lot of like Reddit, Craftsnark, or you're not on Instagram and seeing a lot of this, there was a blow up this week between designers and who found out about a Discord where patterns were being shared. I don't know if the original intention was supposed to just be free patterns and links to those, but I have lots of thoughts and feelings on this. And my main one is, don't do that. Please don't do that. There are lots of designers out there that offer a pay what you can scale. So you can find free patterns, or, you know, you can get a free pattern if you cannot afford it. There are hundreds, thousands of free patterns on Ravelry. Use that resource. It's a really easy filter to filter by. There are patterns that are on blogs. Even the fact that people are sharing free patterns, the free pattern PDFs on this Discord, I don't like, because that's still copyrighted material, but also giving that designer the downloads, the likes, putting it in your library does help them. That does matter. Do that for that designer. They spend a lot of time and effort. I already think knitting patterns are not valued enough and should be way more expensive than they are. So please don't cheapen the pot. It matters. It's how we get to these beautiful designs is by paying people for their work. You know, knitting is an expensive hobby, and that is just part of what we pay for when we're making a sweater, is that design, which you can use over and over again. That is my thought on, that's my thought on it, is just please don't do that. It is illegal. It is icky. And it's, yeah, we don't like doing that. So, and it's a see something, say something. I did not know about this Discord. I've never been in a Discord where people have shared patterns willy-nilly. I have been in Discords where people ask for help on a pattern, and either someone who already owns that pattern will reach out and help them so they can be looking at the same thing. Or I've had people, you know, you share one paragraph, I don't understand this language. That is different than just sharing the PDF, right? So, I mean, just know that those are two different things. You can ask for help on a Discord without sharing the pattern itself. Please be responsible, make smart choices, understand that that is art we're consuming and should be paid for. Okay. That's all. That's my last PSA of the day. Sorry to end on like a downer note, but we don't need to start a whole long conversation down below about your thoughts and feelings on it. I am just sharing my thoughts and feelings on it. And I'm not going to post and blast this everywhere, but this is my long form format. And that is something that has happened in the knitting world. And I'm sure you've heard about, but if you haven't, please steer clear from those discords, report them, like shut it down. It's not just oh, I saw it, but I didn't say anything. Like say something, shut it down. It's not good to do. Okay. That's all. Now I'm really done. Truly, I hope you have a wonderful day, week, weekend, whenever you're watching this, and that you've gotten some good knitting and or knitting chores in. Jump on our Discord if you want to start any more conversation there. And as always, we are going to be posting a new monthly call. I will probably do that this weekend. Hopefully I'll get my schedule together because I do have some things going on in February so that we can do our February call. And I hope to see you there. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.